So today in Getting to Know Plants, we will talk about leaves. So leaves are the green lateral flattened structure borne on stem nodes, and the points from which new branches come up are termed as nodes, as we discussed earlier in this lesson. Size and shape of leaves may vary from plant to plant, and these are the most important organs for photosynthesis, that is, to prepare food in presence of sunlight. Now, because of the presence of chlorophyll, the plant leaves are green in color, and this chlorophyll is responsible to absorb sunlight, and thus photosynthesis in the plants take place. Now, let's discuss about the parts of a leaf. Now, we have leaf lamina or leaf blade. It is the entire green lateral flattened structure of the leaf. Then we have petiole, that is the stalk of the leaf which holds the leaf. And then we have leaf base, from where the leaf is attached to the stem or the branch. Then we have leaf margin, which is the boundary of the leaves. And then we have veins and veinlets and the midrib. So midrib is the main vein which is passing through the middle of the leaf, and then on the sides we may have veins and yet another smaller veins which are known as veinlets. We also have stomata on leaves, that is present on the underside of the leaves, and they help in the gaseous exchange and transpiration. Now the petiole is the leaf stalk, which is flexible thin structure. It holds the leaf blade, and not all the leaves essentially have this petiole, and the leaves which are not having petiole are known as sessile leaves, whereas the leaves which are having petiole are known as petiolated leaves. Now when we talk about the leaf base, now this is the basal part that attaches leaf to stem. In case of legumes, the swollen leaf base is called pulvinus. Like you can see in this picture, legumes are the plants which belong to the Leguminosae family, for example pea plant. So this is having a swollen leaf base that is known as pulvinus, and the sometimes we have stipules also. So these are leaf like structures at the base of the leaves. These can be of variety of shapes. So sometimes it can be spiny, sometimes they can be in the form of tendrils also. Now let's talk about the functions of leaves. So there are three main functions of leaves. One is photosynthesis, second is transpiration through stomata, and the third is gaseous exchange through stomata. Now the leaf margin can be different in different leaves. Now we will here talk about the three types of leaf margins. First is entire, which is all smooth, as in case of people. It can be wavy. For example, in Ashoka tree. The third type is notched, as in case of rose. Now the tip or the apex of the leaf can also be different. It can be round, as in lotus or nasturtium. It can be acute, as in case of Duranta. It can be obtuse also, for example in pansy. Now we will talk about very important part of leaves, that is veins. Now what are veins? Veins are thin fine structures which you can find which is spread throughout the leaf blade. Their job is to transport water, food to every corner of the leaf, and hence veins are the vascular tissues of leaves. They help in conduction of water, minerals, food, etc. As we know, the leaf is quite big. When roots absorb the water, it is carried through stem to the rest of the part of the plant, and then stem provides it to the nodal region. From nodal region, it goes to axillary buds. From axillary buds, it goes to petiole, and then it ultimately is sent to all the corners of the leaves through the veins. Similarly, food from the leaves is also carried back to petiole through these veins. Now, further, they also provide rigidity to the leaf plate. It gives firmity, or we can say it forms somewhat like a skeleton, which gives strength to the leaves. Now, when we discuss about veins, it's important to discuss about venation. What is venation? It is the arrangement of veins and veinlets in the entire leaf lamina. So there are two types of venation, importantly. So these are reticulate venation and parallel venation. Now in reticulate venation, which you can see on the left hand side of the picture, in this veins and veinlets are irregularly arranged to form a network, and they are mostly seen in dicotyledonous plants, for example in hibiscus, rose, peepal. Then we have a main vein, and then we have veinlets with no specific arrangement. And on the right hand side you can see parallel venation. In this, veins run parallel to each other in lamina, and they can be horizontal, like the parallel lines which are running can be horizontal, like in case of banana. Then it can be vertical also, as in case of maize and other grasses. So mostly they are seen in monocot plants, for example in bamboo, banana, cereals and grasses. So you can see here the parallel venation in case of banana leaf, and these are arranged horizontally. So this is a maize leaf. In this also we find parallel venation, but the lines are like arranged vertically. Now here you can see the process of photosynthesis. Now all of us know that photosynthesis requires chlorophyll, sunlight, water and carbon dioxide. So in this what happens, that carbon dioxide, which is taken up by the plant from the air through stomata, then water is taken up by the roots, and then in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, it gives rise to the formation of glucose, and oxygen is also released in this process, which is thrown out through stomata again. Now let's talk a little more about stomata. These are the pores present on the underside of the leaves. They could only be seen under the microscope, so they look like this under the microscope. And their function is to regulate the exchange of gases and water vapor between external air and interior of the leaf. So all excess water present within the leaf is also thrown out through this stomata. Now, this process of throwing out water in the form of water vapor by the leaves through the stomata is known as transpiration. In other words, we can say loss of water from leaves by of plants by evaporation is known as transpiration. So you can also perform one experiment to know whether the transpiration takes place in the plants or not. So for this you can cover an entire leaf of a green plant with a plastic bag, a small plastic bag. Then you will notice after a while that the plastic bag will look foggy. This is because of the presence of the moisture droplets. So this shows that actually transpiration is taking place. Now there are some advantages of transpiration also. Now water is being pulled up from below due to transpiration pull. So it creates a low pressure gradient, you can say. So when we water plants, water is absorbed by the roots. This water then moves up the stem and reaches up the leaves from where transpiration occurs. Now on a sunny morning, more water is transpired, so it creates a pull for more water from the stem to leaves. Now stem tend to pull more water from the roots, and roots tend to pull more water from the soil. So if you think it in another way, then if transpiration will not be there, then the pull created to absorb the water from the soil by the roots will not be there. And the other advantage of transpiration is that it cools the plant in hot weather. As it happens in an earthen pot, or as we also sweat through the tiny pores on our skin, this helps in keeping our body cool. In the same way, it also helps to keep plants' body cool. Now we will talk about modifications of leaves. Now leaves are also modified in various ways in various plants to perform different functions, such as for food storage, as in case of onion. So you can find when you take a cross section of it, then you can find the fleshy scale leaves. Also, to reduce the transpiration rate in the desert plants like cactus, and for defense, these leaves are modified into spines. Also, in some cases, we have leaf tendrils. So, these are thread like structures, they provide support to weak stems, for example, in pea plants. Now, grapevine is an example of stem tendril, whereas in pea, the stem tendrils are the modification of leaves. Then another modification is in the case of insectivorous plants. So leaves are modified here into structures that help to trap insects. For example, in pitcher plant, so in this leaves are modified into a pitcher like structure, and there is a lid. As soon as an insect sits on the edge of the mouth of this pitcher, the lid is pulled down. It closes and hence the insect gets trapped in it. But these kind of plants are not commonly found. These are only found in the soil where there is mineral deficiency, and therefore the leaves cannot prepare their own food, and they have to get minerals. They have to fulfill their food requirement through by trapping the insects.